Welcome back. The University of Wisconsin system is proposing a 5% tuition increase system-wide this fall. UW System President Jay Rothman will soon ask the Board of Regents to approve that increase, which will be the first in a decade for undergraduate students. System President Jay Rothman joins us now from Madison. Mr. President, welcome to the show. Good to see you.
Happy to be with you today. Thank you.
So you'll soon be asking the Board of Regents to approve this increase. Well, why is this needed now?
I think it's a combination of factors, Matt. As we look at it, we want to make sure that we remain affordable. We did an affordability study about last summer and found that we were the best value in the Midwest among public universities. We want to make sure we maintain that. But on the flip side, we want to make sure that we can deliver the quality of education that our students deserve and parents expect from us, and to be able to make sure we can do that from a financially sustainable standpoint. And with inflationary pressures, we've been experiencing a 10-year tuition freeze, that there hasn't been any change. That really is no longer sustainable. So it was the appropriate time to make that adjustment. I will recommend that to the Board of Regents at the meeting that's coming up at the end of this month.
That 10-year freeze that lawmakers had put in place, was that the right move, or did that compound an issue that you now have to address today?
I mean, I think I look from when I started on June 1st and look at where we're at today. And I think based on where we are financially, what we need to deliver to our students, we're looking forward. And we think this is a reasonable adjustment to be made in light of the inflationary pressures, which weren't as significant earlier in that 10-year period, but have certainly become much more significant in the last couple of years, with inflation at 8%. Last year, running at 6% this year. We just have to make an adjustment so that we can continue as well to meet that ultimate goal of delivering the highest quality education, a world-class education to our students.
You mentioned affordability. The system is also launching a new program, the Wisconsin Tuition Promise, that would allow students coming from low-income families to attend tuition free. You're asking the legislature to fund that in the second year. What happens if lawmakers don't?
I think what we will make sure that the first cohort gets through. So when that first cohort under the Wisconsin Tuition Promise, we will make sure that they get through their 4-year period. Beyond that, I'm not sure what would happen. We would have to relook at it. We can't afford to finance it at the level that it has been proposed to the legislature. But I come back and look at this. This is, this is helping Wisconsin in the war for talent. When you think about and you hear about the level of need for nurses and engineers and teachers and data scientists, and that list goes on and on. The economic vibrancy of our state is at stake here. And I think we need to focus on that. And we see the tuition promise, the Wisconsin Tuition Promise, which is modeled after Bucky's Tuition Promise, a very successful program at UW-Madison. The Wisconsin Tuition Promise would take this out to our other 12 universities as an essential point of getting more students through the university who are deserving to be there, but we can take tuition off the table for them. They still have skin in the game. They have an opportunity cost of 4 years of investment. They've got room and board and so forth. But we think this is a worthwhile program to help Wisconsin meet that talent gap that it's going to have.
As your budget proposal is before lawmakers and this tuition increase before the Board of Regents, Republicans have also authored a bill that would cap tuition increases at the rate of inflation. Is that something you support?
I look at it, Matt, and when I look at it, our proposed tuition increase will be on average a little bit under 5%. And, inflation is running higher than that. I think having the flexibility to adjust it, we want to do it in a responsible way. We want to be good stewards of the financial resources we're afforded. And I think we're just focusing on adjusting our financial situation so that we can continue to deliver the quality of education for our students.
During the past decade, we've seen out-of-state enrollment increase, in-state enrollment decrease, specifically when you look at Madison. Is that any type of financial strategy as you look ahead at the overall budget outlook?
Yeah, I think we look at the system as a whole, and we look at the value that the entire system brings to the state of Wisconsin. And I think one factor I would focus on when we talk about the war for talent in the state is 87% of our in-resident students that come to the university system and graduate are in Wisconsin 5 years post-graduation. That's how we win the war for talent. That's how we drive economic viability. That's the UW system being that magnet for talent for our state. attracting, developing, and retaining great talent that Wisconsin needs to be successful, not only in competing in the Midwest and competing in the nation, but actually competing in the world and the global talent market.
Several important weeks and months ahead. UW System President Jay Rothman. Jay, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Matt, pleasure being with you. Thank you very much.
Up next, the future of clean energy in Wisconsin.